look down at your hands right now. If your fingertips have suddenly turned a ghostly, bloodless white, or if the delicate skin beneath your nail beds is slowly shifting into a bruised, terrifying shade of blue, accompanied by a freezing, painful numbness that pierces straight to the bone, your cardiovascular system is currently under a violent microscopic attack. You are likely sitting in a perfectly warm, comfortable living room, completely baffled as to why your hands feel like they have been plunged into a bucket of ice water. You have likely been told by well-meaning physicians that this sudden freezing and color change is simply a harmless quirk of getting older, a generic sign of poor circulation, or a mild case of Raynaud's syndrome that you must manage by simply wearing thicker gloves and drinking hot tea. That is a dangerous, dismissive medical narrative that completely ignores a blaring systemic alarm bell. The terrifying reality is that your circulation has not passively slowed down, it has been actively, aggressively shut off. What you are experiencing is a violent biological tourniquet, an extreme autoimmune panic triggered by a highly toxic, invisible invader that is silently blowing through the central air system of your own home. Today, we are going to expose the shocking truth about the microscopic mold spores suffocating your capillaries, why the standard blood pressure medications prescribed for this condition are actively putting you at risk for a catastrophic fall, and reveal the simple fiery pantry staple that instantly forces your blood vessels wide open, flushing warm, life-giving blood back into your dying fingers. For decades, the medical establishment has treated freezing, color-changing hands as a mechanical nuisance rather than a toxicological crisis. You sit in the examination room, rubbing your stiff white fingers together, and the doctor explains that the tiny blood vessels in your hands are simply overreacting to the cold. They hand you a prescription for a calcium channel blocker, a heavy blood pressure medication, and send you on your way, placing the blame squarely on your aging vascular system. Let me completely shatter that guilt and fear right now. Your blood vessels are not failing, and your body is not broken. Your cardiovascular system is executing a brilliant, albeit agonizing, survival mechanism in response to a modern environmental trap that human biology was never designed to endure. Your hands are turning white because your nervous system firmly believes you are being poisoned, and it is violently clamping down your peripheral blood flow to prevent that poison from reaching your heart and your brain. To truly understand the intense aching pain in your fingertips, we must take a microscopic journey into the remarkable architecture of your vascular system. The arteries that travel down your arm are like massive, rushing rivers of warm, oxygenated blood. But as they reach your wrist and travel into your fingers, they branch out into millions of microscopic tributaries called capillaries. These capillaries are so incredibly narrow that red blood cells must literally fold themselves in half just to squeeze through in a single file line. Wrapping around the outside of every single one of these fragile capillaries is a microscopic layer of smooth muscle. These smooth muscles are controlled entirely by your sympathetic nervous system, your body's automatic fight or flight control center. In a prehistoric environment, if you were trapped in a freezing blizzard, your sympathetic nervous system would recognize that your core organs, your heart, your lungs, your liver were rapidly losing heat and beginning to fail. To save your life, the nervous system would fire a massive electrical signal to those smooth muscles in your fingers and toes, commanding them to violently contract. This is known as a vasospasm. The capillaries are instantly clamped shut, acting as biological tourniquets. The warm blood is forcefully trapped in the center of your body to keep your vital organs alive, while your extremities are ruthlessly sacrificed to the cold, turning white, numb, and eventually necrotic. It is a harsh, brutal survival calculation. But why is this extreme limb-sacrificing vasospasm happening to you while you are sitting safely in your 70-degree living room? This is where we must expose the invisible, highly toxic threat lurking in the very air you breathe. The trigger for your freezing hands is not thermal, it is biochemical. The culprit is the modern, perfectly sealed human home. In the 1970s, during the energy crisis, building codes completely changed. We began constructing houses that were airtight, heavily insulated, and completely reliant on central heating, ventilation, and air conditioning HVAC systems. While this kept our energy bills low, it created the absolute perfect, dark, moist incubator for toxic biological growth. Deep inside the twisting, inaccessible ductwork of your home, condensation naturally forms. In this dark, damp environment, microscopic fungi, specifically species like Aspergillus, Penicillium, and the dreaded Stachybotrys, begin to thrive. But these molds do not simply sit there. As a defense mechanism, they release invisible lipid-soluble gases into the air called mycotoxins. These are not allergens. They are profound, devastating neurotoxins and immunotoxins. Every time your central air or heating system kicks on, a microscopic, invisible cloud of these toxic gases is forcefully blown out of your vents and directly into your living space. When you inhale the air in your home, these mycotoxins bypass your body's standard defenses. Because they are lipid soluble, meaning they dissolve in fat, they effortlessly cross the delicate mucosal barrier of your lungs and pass directly into your bloodstream. The very second these foreign, highly toxic biological weapons enter your blood, your immune system registers a catastrophic threat. It instantly sounds the alarm, triggering a massive systemic spike of systemic inflammation. Your sympathetic nervous system, heavily cross-wired with your immune response, misinterprets this toxic chemical threat as a massive physical trauma. It assumes the body is under a lethal attack and initiates the exact same extreme survival protocol it would use in a freezing blizzard. It fires a violent electrical signal down your arms and legs, commanding the smooth muscles around your capillaries to instantly clamp shut. The nervous system is desperately trying to restrict blood flow to the furthest reaches of your body, attempting to quarantine the toxic blood and protect the vital organs. The immediate terrifying result is that the warm arterial blood supply to your hands is completely cut off. The tissue in your fingers instantly starves of oxygen, turning a ghostly, bloodless white. As the remaining stagnant blood in your fingers loses its oxygen, it turns a dark, bruised blue, and as the tiny sensory nerves begin to suffocate and die, they send screaming, agonizing signals of burning, aching pain to your brain. You are not suffering from poor circulation, you are suffering from a mycotoxin-induced vasospasm. The medical establishment's reliance on calcium channel blockers to treat this condition is not just ineffective, it is actively dangerous for the senior body. Medications like amlodipine or nifedipine are designed to artificially force blood vessels open by blocking the calcium needed for muscle contraction. But these pills do not target the specific capillaries in your fingers. They act systemically, forcing every single blood vessel in your entire body to dilate. For a senior citizen, this sudden massive dilation causes a rapid, terrifying drop in core blood pressure. When you stand up from your chair, gravity pulls your blood downward. And because your blood vessels are artificially held wide open, your heart cannot pump the blood fast enough back up to your brain. You become instantly dizzy, your vision blacks out, and you risk a catastrophic, bone-shattering fall. You are risking a broken hip to treat a problem that is actually originating in your air ducts. To permanently stop the agonizing pain, reverse the terrifying color changes in your hands, and safely force your capillaries open without crashing your core blood pressure, we must entirely abandon the pharmaceutical approach. We must utilize a targeted, localized botanical intervention that physically overrides the nervous system's panic signal and instantly floods the dying tissues with warm blood. We must use a biological explosive and one of the most powerful, heavily researched natural vasodilators on the planet is sitting right now in your kitchen pantry. The fiery red spice known as cayenne pepper. Cayenne pepper is far more than a culinary ingredient used to add heat to your food. It is a profound, highly potent botanical medicine. The active compound inside cayenne is called capsaicin. Capsaicin is the exact molecule that makes the pepper taste hot. But inside the human body, it acts as a masterful neurological and vascular key. To understand how capsaicin rescues your suffocating fingers, we must look at the specific cellular receptors lining your blood vessels, known as TRPV1 receptors. These are the body's primary heat and pain detectors. When capsaicin interacts with a TRPV1 receptor, it tricks the nervous system into believing that intense physical heat is present in that exact location. The body's immediate hardwired response to intense localized heat is to rapidly bring blood to the area to cool it down. When you introduce capsaicin, it triggers a massive instantaneous release of a miraculous molecule called nitric oxide directly from the endothelial cells lining your blood vessels. Nitric oxide is the ultimate biological muscle relaxer. The moment it is released, it floods the tightly clenched smooth muscles wrapping your capillaries. The nitric oxide completely overrides the panic signal from the sympathetic nervous system, physically forcing the biological tourniquets to instantly release and snap open. The locked gates are thrown wide, and a massive rushing flood of highly oxygenated, warm arterial blood violently surges back into your starving fingers. However, we must apply a critical senior-specific modification to this protocol. While consuming a massive dose of cayenne pepper orally would certainly dilate your blood vessels, the intense heat of the capsaicin can be incredibly harsh and agonizing for an aging stomach lining, potentially triggering severe acid reflux or aggravating a hiatal hernia. Therefore, we must bypass the digestive system entirely and deliver the life-saving capsaicin directly to the starving blood vessels. We achieve this through a brilliant, simple process of transdermal application. You are going to create a powerful, localized capillary flush salve. Here is the exact 2-minute protocol you must use the very second your hands begin to turn white and freeze. Take 1/2 teaspoon of high-quality, pure organic coconut oil. Coconut oil is the perfect biological carrier because its low molecular weight allows it to penetrate instantly through the epidermis. To this oil, add 1 tiny microscopic pinch of pure cayenne pepper powder, roughly the size of a match head. Do not use more than this, as capsaicin is incredibly potent. Mix the powder thoroughly into the oil with a spoon until it creates a light reddish paste. Take this salve and massage it firmly and deeply directly into the inner wrists of both hands, exactly over the pulse points where you can feel your radial artery beating. Do not put it on your fingertips, and absolutely ensure you wash your hands thoroughly with soap afterwards so you do not accidentally rub your eyes. The inner wrist is one of the thinnest areas of skin on the entire human body, and the massive radial artery sits just millimeters beneath the surface. As you massage the salve into your wrists, the coconut oil instantly shuttles the capsaicin directly through the skin and straight into the arterial blood supply, feeding your hands. The biological reaction is astounding and nearly instantaneous. Within 90 seconds, you will feel a deep, penetrating, spreading warmth beginning at your wrists and rushing down into the palms of your hands. The capsaicin hits the TRPV1 receptors, the massive surge of nitric oxide is released, and the clamped capillaries in your fingers are forcefully, safely blown wide open. The agonizing, freezing ache stops dead in its tracks. As you watch, the terrifying, ghostly white hue of your fingertips is rapidly washed away, replaced by a vibrant, deeply flushed, healthy pink as the highly oxygenated blood finally returns to the starving tissues. You have successfully overridden a violent autoimmune reflex and saved your peripheral nerves using nothing but the elegant science of localized botanical vasodilation. To ensure this agonizing vasospasm does not return, you must address the root cause of the immune panic. You must clean the air in your home. This does not mean simply dusting. It means investing in a high-quality, true HEPA air purifier with an activated carbon filter and running it constantly in the rooms where you spend the most time. The HEPA filter physically traps the microscopic mold spores, while the activated carbon neutralizes the invisible, lipid-soluble mycotoxin gases before they can enter your lungs. By physically filtering the toxins out of your environment, you silence the blaring immune alarm, allowing your sympathetic nervous system to finally stand down and your blood to flow freely and naturally. You sit back in your warm living room, the healthy pink color fully restored to your hands, feeling an immense wave of relief and empowerment, knowing you are no longer a victim of your own environment. You pick up a glass of ice cold water to take a refreshing drink, thrilled that holding the cold glass no longer triggers agonizing pain in your fingers. But the very second the frigid water hits the back of your throat, a terrifying, violent sensation erupts in the absolute center of your chest. Your heart suddenly skips a massive beat, pausing for a horrifying second before violently exploding into a racing, chaotic, fluttering rhythm that feels like a trapped bird desperately beating its wings against your ribcage. A wave of breathless panic washes over you as the room begins to dim. You have been told that heart palpitations are just a normal sign of aging or a consequence of drinking too much coffee. But what if this chaotic, terrifying flutter has absolutely nothing to do with the structural health of your heart muscle? What if the simple act of swallowing that freezing water just sent a localized shockwave directly into the master electrical cable of your nervous system, triggering a massive temporary short circuit in your chest? To discover the shocking neurological truth behind sudden racing heart flutters and the one bizarre 15-second breathing trick that instantly manually reboots your heart's electrical grid and restores a perfect calm rhythm, click the video on your screen right now.